Allow me to extend a warm welcome to all the viewers on the internet and around the world. It is sunrise on YouTube, morning on Facebook, noon on Twitter, midday on Threads, afternoon on Twitch, sunset on Instagram, and evening on Rumble. I am your host, the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, and the master of the deceptive arts. We are broadcasting live directly from the sanctum of solitude and the citadel at the end of time. Good evening, everyone. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, the Phantom Menace, he who remains, the master of the deceptive arts, and I return to you once more as the clamoring voice of the vasectomites. And today, I was hoping that you and I would have a deep discussion, a deep spiritual discussion, which is really going to expose yet another piece of the puzzle that is the Ancient One. And it's going to expose another part of me that I really never discuss. I'm not a very spiritual person, nor have I ever claimed to be, well, at least honestly speaking. Yes, in truth, I suppose I can admit and never deny that I have participated in spirituality, theology, either by force, manipulation, the way you were raised, or even by my own volunteering. In truth, I've been in and out of religious institutions, but the idea, the philosophy behind it just never really stuck with me. In truth, it's not for me. It's not for me. And for the most part, I have foregone spirituality. I've left it behind. Metamorphism, manifestation, all of that. I've really put that aside and left that behind in pretty much all of my dealings. What I do try to do is when I'm dealing with people is that I try to treat them with humanity, with a certain level of common decency, at least initially. Not trust, not distrust. I mean, distrust, obviously, but not blatant, not overt, as they say, but in effect, spirituality, manifestation, metamorphism, theology, all of that, either as a trend, a practice, or even as a philosophy. I have to be honest with you, I've really left that behind. It's just not for me. And as a thief of knowledge, I've in truth inquired with some degree of curiosity at many kinds of philosophy. And the truth is I've found most of them to be lacking. They lacked depth, they lacked insight, they lacked clarity, they opposed logic for the most part. And when you do question it, when your curiosity that led you there takes you further than the theory, the theology, the philosophy itself, then what happens is you are then criticized as lacking faith. When in fact all you're doing is you are just practicing the logic for which the spiritual Almighty has given you. Think about that. On the one hand, you are told that the Almighty, the spiritual guide of the eternal universe, has given you a brain with which to think with. However, you are allowed to use that brain in every other aspect except the theology. And that doesn't make any sense to me. And so it's never really stuck for me, right? This is not to be dismissive. I do believe that a lot of these philosophies have their benefits, either psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually, particularly for these knee benders and counterparts. Again, I'm not one for bending the knee at all. I'm completely against it. But even more than that, I'm against careless reproduction. If you are going to be intimate with someone, make children with that person. I mean, intimate repeatedly with that person an infinite number of times. Get her inseminated, get her pregnant, have children with that person, and then not be there to care for that tremendously difficult, challenging responsibility. That's just not happening. That's not something that I'm gonna support. And for the people that are really complaining about child support, I think you deserve it. I really think you deserve it. I think you're underpaid, to be honest with you, and I think you worked very hard and fought many motions and appeals and that kind of thing, so you could underpay, and you did. So these philosophies that are telling these men to bend the knee, I think they have their place and their use in society, especially if you haven't got a vasectomy, especially if you haven't frozen your sperm or gotten a vasectomy. Like, if you have the capacity to make children, you should have the capacity to care for them, and you should be compelled to by law. And it's going to be very difficult for you to come up with any different kind of argument. Don't come out and say that child support is too expensive, or that child support courts are against you. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares even if you're right. If you didn't want to deal with the system, if you didn't want to deal with these problems, if you cannot afford to pay that money, you shouldn't have been intimate with that person. End of story. It doesn't matter if you wanted it or not. And I mean the responsibility and the child. So you gotta bend that knee. This is really the benefit of these philosophy for humanity. It is truly sound, right? These notions are sound, especially for these knee benders. You really, really gotta get these guys to bend the knee. They have to take care of these kids and their responsibilities, because otherwise, they'll go. These are people who failed at school, dropped out of university, quit every job, failed at every endeavor, and they pride themselves at being fathers. And that's only because they are compelled to by law. They have a pattern of failure and abandoning their tasks, their posts, their responsibilities, time and again and again. So you know that the only reason they're doing marriage and fatherhood and legal matrimony in the dark dimension is because they're compelled to by law. Otherwise, they would easily abscond and run away. You know that I'm right, and you know that I'm right. And these men, they also don't want to get a vasectomy. They don't want to do the responsible thing. So, and they want to be intimate. So they have to bend the knee. They have to bend the knee. I'm all for it. I'm all for you bending the knee. I mean, I'm not going to do it myself. Right? I'm not bending that knee. I went ahead and got my vasectomy. My decision is already done. So I'm not speaking as somebody who has to participate with the same rules and the same laws as you. I know child support isn't fair, and I don't care. I think they should raise it. And that being said, what they have, these philosophies in theory and hypothesis, in my mind, they lack in practical, actionable outcomes and results. The results that you get, in my opinion, from following many of these philosophies after you're in the dark dimension are going to be catastrophic. Prior to the dark dimension, a lot of theology right? A lot of religion, that's the word that I'm looking for. I was going to say theory, but a lot of theologies prior to marriage, they recommend abstinence, they recommend celibacy, they recommend just staying away. They recommend what I recommend. And they say that effectively, they say that the winning move is not to play the game. But if you do play the game, if you are intimate, if you do date, if you do take those risks, then it's better for you to then to take those risks under the umbrella of marriage. And I agree. As a person who has no intention of getting married, I'm not doing none of that crazy stuff, right? I'm not doing not a single one of those things, right? Because the actions that you're going to take in those marriages, in those dating, in those dating dynamics, in those relationships, it's all going to end up in catastrophe. And you know I'm right. The stats are there. Almost 99% of relationships fail, which is almost all of them. And then, 50% of marriages fail every year. Every year, 50%. You look at that over 10 years, it's up to almost 80%. In a decade, you're not going to be in the top 20% of marriages in a decade. You're not doing that. You're really not doing that. And so it was the logic, the impracticality, and then the results that you get. So now, it doesn't make any sense, but then you're trying to make it work, and then the results are catastrophic. I found that I was not able when in the dynamic of the romance wars, not even the dark dimension. Like I never even got married, never even got that far. But the dynamic of dating and relationships and the romance wars, I found myself that I wasn't even achieving what I wanted to achieve, you know? And when I did, those goals were achieved the long way. And even when you apply these philosophies, these theories, the theology, you find that things are hard to come by, complicated, frustrating, you know and then it's like the results that you get are never quite satisfactory. You ever tried to do business through the church, and the money's just never ever right? Church money is just never right. There's always something missing. No matter how much money comes into the church, it's just never enough. you know and I don't mean anything bad by church people. I just think that there's a problem with the process there that leads to particular kinds of results, and this process attracts a particular kind of person, and I guess I'm just not that kind of person. It was never for me. It really was never for me. I could not subscribe nor recommend anybody subscribe to a philosophy that does not guarantee tangible, observable, and above all, countable results and outcome. And instead of doing that, I became a vasectomite and a practitioner of the deceptive arts by default. And it is this that I put my faith in. And it is this that has yet to fail. It has not failed me mentally, physically, financially, socially, right? Psychologically. My mind, I feel, is clear and right and level headed. The feeling, the synapses and the thoughts that I associate with this eventuality end result, and the results that I get from this eventuality, which is the outcomes that I got. I'm speaking specifically now about freezing my sperm and getting a vasectomy. The feeling is gratitude. I feel grateful every single day that I have a vasectomy. And I'm going to say that again a few times. I really am going to say that a few times. Gratitude. Gratitude is described as the quality of being thankful. This is what I feel. This is what I feel when I think about a vasectomy. Having foregone all other philosophies, you know, the only aspect of those theories that remains for me is gratitude, and feeling gratitude and having something that you are thankful for. It's a feeling that is described as being thankful with a readiness to show appreciation for and to a return of kindness. Now just listen to that. Something that was done to you that you appreciate, that you consider either an act of kindness, right? And then you return it either as an act of kindness. When I think about my vasectomy, the feeling that I get for my urologist is the desire to perform an act of kindness. And that act of kindness was, of course, to pay him. This doesn't imply that I want to pay him again. Of course, I do not. But the description of the word really hits home for me, you know, and that is how I process the internal sensations that I associate with the procedure, right? The feeling that I have is that I'm so grateful. I am so grateful to the extreme that when I have to calculate what I would be willing to give up for this procedure, let me put this into context now. This procedure costs 1,550 US dollars, 1550. And if you freeze your sperm also, it's an extra $50. It's $50 a year. So you're talking about an outright payment of about $1,600, of which I assure you your medical insurance will pay all of it. You can practically get a vasectomy for free. Consider that, right? So let's say you have medical insurance. Medical insurance, I know, is not free. So you're paying your insurance and they pay your vasectomy. The cost is still $1,550. No matter how you dice it up, right? They'll make that money back. Your medical insurance will absolutely get that money back. And then some, right? And then they'll pay because once you get that vasectomy, you are now a customer for them for life. You are going to be paying and paying and paying for medical insurance with no risk of them ever paying anything back for you. I promise you that. I promise you that. Like for the most part, you want to get, if you're a vasectomite, you want to get, or if you want to get a vasectomy, get a medical insurance that covers glasses and dentistry, because that's pretty much all you're going to use it for. You know, other medical treatments, sure, they'll cover that too. But what you're really gonna want is to replace your glasses every 2 years, and you might want to go visit the dentist every year. That's really where you're gonna get the benefit out of it. But for the most part, you'll just be paying towards that medical insurance, and they're gonna cash in, and you are gonna be grateful for it. That 1,550, that 1,600, that is worth every dime. And I asked myself, what would I be willing to give up for this vasectomy? I'm telling you right now, you couldn't pay me $100 million to get you a vasectomy, all things being equal. To give up my vasectomy, I beg your pardon. You would not be able, let me clarify that statement, so that we know what we're talking about. You would not be able to pay me 100 million US dollars, cash money, real money, real money, greenbacks. You would not be able to pay me that in order for me to go and get a reversal. I'm not giving up my vasectomy. I'm not giving up my vasectomy. knowing all the risks, knowing that I could slip, fall, and it's all over tomorrow and nobody would ever know nothing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, right? What I would not do, you know, is give up that vasectomy. Not for $100 million. No way. No way. What is the point? What is the point of getting $100 million and then bending the knee for the rest of your existence? Now you got this $100 million, and then you got these 3, 4, 5 people just running through your money, just spending it on whatever they want. They refuse to cook, they refuse to clean, they refuse to eat anything that isn't made by somebody else. They don't want to wear the same thing twice. They don't like this car, they like a different car with a different color. And that's you just paying. No way, I'm not doing that. I'm grateful. I'm grateful because compared to this existence, that many so-called successful people live with money. And this is not to imply that I don't have no money. I think I have more than enough money for myself. And that's all I need to have. I have peace of mind. I have peace of mind. And while I may never be a billionaire or 100 billionaire, I will always have peace of mind. And there are some people who seek this their entire life. They seek it and they never ever attain it. They attain wealth, they attain status, they attain success, but not peace of mind. And I know that I will never deal with not a fraction of the nonsense that in fact, all of you are going to deal with it. Man, I don't even know why I say some. The statistics are out, and I've discussed them and read them. 99% of you are going to get married before you're 60. And the other whatever are going to have kids. That's everyone. 99%. I'm just going to put everybody in 99% married and kids. That's everyone. That's all of you. And I don't have to deal with not a single fraction. You know, some people say I only have to deal with 1% or 10% or however many percent. For me, it's 0. I don't have to deal with none of the issues that any of you have to contend with ever again. Not for a single moment, ever, 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 till the day I meet my demise on this earth. And that is a guarantee. I have peace of mind. That's what a vasectomy will do for you. Not only that, you freeze your sperm, you have absolute peace of mind. Absolute peace of mind. Even if, let's say, you freeze it and something happens at the fertility clinic, and then they are gone, 1 billion sperm. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with it. I've had those sperm for so long that if I'm not going to use them right now, I'm starting to feel like I'm losing $50. To be honest with you, it's starting to feel like I'm losing $50. I mean, it's not like I need it all the way, but, you know, it adds up, man. It adds up. Exactly. You know, you could pay for a date or something with $50. I mean, a date's a meaningless thing to me, but at least I have the option, you know. But just the idea that I don't have to deal with any of this stuff, and I mean none of the stuff that you deal with. I will never have to deal with legal matrimony in the dark dimension. I'll never be divorced. I'll never pay alimony. Never, not a dime, not a cent. Not a cent of child support. I mean, not a cent. Legal fees is one thing, you know, I mean, you know, we all pay legal fees, and I can't tell you how much I've paid in legal fees. You know, I've paid a fair bit of legal fees, you know, for many, many reasons. You know, legal services are actually very needed. These people don't just keep you out of jail. They actually process documents and things nationally and internationally, and you pay for that, right? Yeah, you pay for those emails, right? But other than those, I mean, I'm not talking the kind of litigation that goes on for years and years and years. I've used lawyers for, a few weeks at a time, just getting some things together so I could move on to the next level. But nothing more than that. Nothing compared to what you're dealing with. I mean, I don't deal with nothing. I never have to deal with child raising. And what do they call that thing? That nonsense, man. Maybe it's not nonsense, but it's just not a thing that I have to deal with. That postpartum depression. Oh, I know it's bad for women, but it must be so miserable coming home and dealing with this person. Oh man, this is not what you signed up for, but it's what you're gonna get. And it's like from the minute the baby's born for like a decade. This person is gonna be depressed until your child is almost a grown up. That is the entire baby's life. Depressed. They say it can take like 7, 8, 9, 10 years for it to finally, clear, if it ever clears. And then when it does, what happens then? Suddenly she clears up from her depression, and then what? She wants to relive her 20s. She's now in her 40s. She had a baby when she was in her late 20s. 10 years, 11 years later, she's in her 40s. Now that's an entire decade of the 30s gone. And now she wants to go back 20 years and relive her 20s because she's not depressed no more. It's like, that doesn't make any sense. Just because you find yourself healed doesn't make you a time traveler. That doesn't make no sense, And I don't have to deal with that, I don't have to deal with the pretense that I'm having an impact on somebody's life, or that I'm making a difference in somebody's life, or even pretend that I enjoy or want to do the so-called right thing. I mean, mostly I'm grateful that I have acceptance in my heart. I have the acceptance of finality, right? The vasectomy has given me closure. I don't have to deal with the delusion of trying to find the perfect mate, which, by the way, all of you have gotten wrong. And anybody that tries is going to get it wrong. And you are going to pay handsomely for getting it so wrong, as many before you have. You're not just going to lose time, quality of life, your fitness, your health. You're going to lose so much money. Or you're going to lose so much money raising kids. It's going to be for nothing. It's going to be for absolutely nothing, you know? And then I have to think about, I don't have to deal with the delusion of permanence. The thought that you're gonna find the right one. So not only do you find the perfect mate, that this person is gonna be there forever, that they're gonna be there, you guys are gonna grow old together and raise a family together. It's just gonna be the two of you against the world. Oh, you're so wrong. Oh, you're so wrong. And I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with that, ride to die thing. Or me and my girlfriend. You remember that phenomenon, where it's just us against the world. No way, man. No way. The delusion of permanence is really something that's worth discussing. The desire for permanence. And having a vasectomy has just let me know that people are temporary. Everything is temporary. And it guarantees that. It's like just knowing up front that the situation is temporary, and removing the delusion of permanence from the equation gives me peace of mind. It gives me peace of mind within and of myself. There's not even a point of us pretending that there might be a something after. Like there's gonna come a moment where, I have a vasectomy, but I've met the right person, and we're just gonna make it work, just me and her. Absolutely not. I'm gonna get a vasectomy to tie myself down to one person for the rest of my life. Then why don't I just bend the knee? Why don't I just bend the knee and make it legal? No way, not at all. I'm not doing that. Why even pretend? Why even pretend? Even work is not permanent. There's a retirement, there's a retirement age for work, you know. These counterparts are definitely not permanent. Friends are not permanent, And it's simply because I could make no permanent connection with these people, even if I wanted to. I already got a vasectomy. I cut off the ties to permanence. It's not even an option for me. And I don't have to deal with that delusion. You know, I did before, but I don't anymore. And if I had to do it some more, I would just say no. Knowing that I stand at the end of time and at the end of my biological imperative, but simultaneously at the cusp of a new evolution, completely unconcerned about trivial matters from the past. Previous trivialities that once seemed so important, that were so encompassing, with such devastating results. I'm grateful that I don't have to make the impossible calculation of trying to find the one right companion out of billions. It's not 1 billion, it's like 6 billion or 4 billion or whatever many billions. You're just going to get it wrong. You are going to get that wrong. And I'll give you an example of a very simple situation where you had the advantage and you got it wrong. Where here you have no advantage. 1,000,000,000 to 1, no way you're going to figure this out. There's no way you're going to figure that out. I've used this example before. You've been given a multiple choice question at school with 4 possible answers. 2 of those answers were completely wrong. One answer was the best possible answer, and another answer was kind of sort of similar, but it had elements that were incorrect. And you still got it wrong. You were given a 25% chance with only a 50% variable. And you still got it wrong. You had a 1 in 4 chance where 2 of the things were wrong, but in an obvious way. And you still got it wrong. You think you're going to get 1 in a billion right, let alone 4 billion? Give me a break. Give me a break. You're the kind of person who doesn't even remember how many teaspoons of sugar they put in their coffee. And you think you're going to pull off finding 1 in a billion. I don't even want to tell you. You're just going to get it wrong. You are going to get this so terribly wrong. And I'm grateful that I don't have to do this. I'm grateful, most of all, that not only do I not have to think and calculate and deal with so many of the issues mentally that you deal with on a daily basis in the dark dimension, in the romance war, in this catastrophe. I'm grateful that not only do I not have to deal with that, I don't have to even care. I don't even have to let it cross my mind. Finding the right one. Is it going to last forever? Are we compatible? Are we going to make this work? Are we a good team? Who cares? Really, no one cares. And nobody's interested. Nobody's interested. Everybody's selfish, just worried about themselves to care about your life. I mean, really, there's really nothing going on there. You're just paying bills and bills. Even if you travel, all you're telling people is you spent a lot of money. Oh, I'm traveling, spent a lot of money. I'm going out this weekend, just spending more money. And then you bring the kids. Oh, I don't even want to know about it. I don't even care. I have to be honest, I don't even care. Like, ever since I got my vasectomy, and I talk about this thing every day, I just don't care. And it feels good to not care in a way where it's not like I'm not empathetic or anything, which I'm not. But it's just a situation of I tried caring, and it was like, what was the point of caring about all of that? What's the point of caring about dating? What's the point of caring about how much dates cost? Sure, maybe I'll go on a date, but there's no consequence in it for me. There's really no consequence in it for me at all. There might be a minor inconvenience in time and, a small expenditure of money, but that's about it. Like I'm never gonna, get the text in the middle of the night. I missed my time of the month, and then stay up. I promise you, you send me that text, I probably won't see it for 3 days. And when I do, I'll just ignore it. I mean, why would I care if you missed your time of the month? What's that got to do with me? You know, like I also try to care about like the cost of education, what parents pay for. I don't care, man. I don't care how much university costs. I could care less how much university costs or any of these things, trips for kids, kiddies menus, whatever. What a waste of my time. I'm relieved, man. I have peace of mind. There are so many things that I don't worry about at all that I'm sure you think about all the time. All the time. The concerns and outcomes of other people. Man, your lives look stressful. And they sound hard, like long and hard. How do you live like that under so much pressure and nonsense? And then you gotta sit up and listen to this nonsense. Sometimes you stay up all night just listening to rubbish. And whatever joy you experience, or that comes from these relationships or having these kids or the risk of intimacy, it always comes at great personal expense, and with a tremendous cash bill. This is Earth after all. You're not going to get a free experience. And if you want a free experience, you're out of your mind. Who's going to prepare food for you and sing for you and entertain you for free? No way. Why don't you go sing for yourself and see how that turns out? There's always going to be a bill at the end of it. There's never a time where there's no bill. You go to a restaurant, there's a bill. You stay home, there's a bill. Go to work, you get a bill for going to work. It's called taxes. And I don't care anymore, man. And I really don't want to care. I don't want to pretend that a stranger will come into my life and improve my life. Whatever I give her, she's gonna double it. Give me a break. You're gonna double what I give you. What have you doubled in your life? Name one thing. Name one thing that somebody gave you other than debt that you doubled. Because the only thing these people have doubled is debt. No, I don't want to be the stranger on a train or on a plane at the airport at some lounge that finds love, true love, serendipitously. No way. I don't need serendipity, man. I don't need that at all. You know? No, I don't want to pay bills for a stranger. Absolutely do not have the desire to pay bills for a stranger. I'm glad that I don't have to deal with this. These people, there's a reason counterparts want somebody to pay the bills, and that's because there's a realistic chance that they're going to have your child. And when they have that child with you, they're going to need a responsible person to handle those bills. And I'm not that person. I'm not paying bills for anyone other than myself. And it's not that I can't. Maybe I can't. I wouldn't know if I could or couldn't. I just don't want to. I had the choice, and I know some people might say, oh, well, you don't have the money. Listen, I had the choice of either getting a vasectomy and paying bills, and I chose a vasectomy. I don't want to pay bills. I don't want it. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to find out how much tuition is in a private school, or what uniform costs, or what those textbooks are worth. I don't care. And there are some people that would say to me, "Oh, that doesn't make you a real man." Then I'm glad. I'm grateful. Because you know what? I don't want to be no real man. I don't want to be a real man. And I want you to know that you're right. The fact that I don't want to be responsible for other people and care for people and carry people and provide and protect, it doesn't make me a real man. Do you know what it makes me? It makes me a vasectomite. And for that, I will forever be grateful. I have an article here today to coincide with my own gratitude, and I have to be honest with you. I didn't really go into as much depth as I would have liked for various reasons. Number one, I just didn't really have the time to sit through and go through it. But number two, I didn't make the time to sit and go through it. But number three, really the most important is that I don't think it really makes a difference. So I find that when I read an article and I can think about it over some time, by the time that I actually make the video, my opinion of the article is really how I'm experiencing it right now. Right? So the experience that I have with an article, which is I don't mean to be so intimate about these words, but here I am. The experience that I have prior to recording is always completely different to the experience that I have when I am recording it. So I suppose, the words feel and sound completely different in my head because when I'm reading it, I'm usually reading it in silence. I have a very loud internal voice, so I can hear myself think very clearly. And I know when I'm thinking, as opposed to when I'm receiving stimuli. But this is just a matter of self awareness. But yes, again, as I'm reading it now, I know that I'm going to have a different perspective of it to when I read it before. When I read it before, I thought, yeah, it really coincides with how I feel about my vasectomy. As I perused it briefly, but again, I know that as I'm reading it now, I'm definitely going to have more to say about it than what I had previously thought. In fact, some of the thoughts and ideas that I have in the video, I have them at the time. These are live thoughts. These are not like pre-recorded thoughts. But the material itself, of course, is pre-recorded, and it was released on the 16th of April. The date that was given is copyright 2023, but it could have been any time. There was no specific date other than the copyright 2023 that was given. The title of the article is "The Power of Gratitude: 6 Benefits of Gratitude Practice." There were other articles that offered more, and I believe this article also offers 9 ways to feel more grateful. We are going to forego those techniques, right? You're more than welcome to go and look at those techniques. It is an article that continues by Dr. Chris Mosunik, who has a PhD. I think RD is resident doctor and as well as a master's in business and administration. The website where this article comes from is www.calm.com, and there, of course, is the link to the full article, but we will be reading the accepted part of the article, which are just the 6 benefits of gratitude. And perhaps we'll be able to compare these 6 benefits with the feelings of gratitude that I associate with my own vasectomy. Dr. Chris writes, learn about the benefits of practicing gratitude, including the power of gratitude on your health and well-being. plus 9 ways to feel more grateful. We are going to forego the 9 ways just to focus on the 6 benefits of gratitude. And 9 ways to feel more grateful, of course, is the full title. Many of us fall into the trap of feeling like what we have isn't enough. Isn't that what ambition is? Like knowing what you have and then wanting more. It's not a trap, it's freedom, it's liberation, it's the vasectomite way. And we find ourselves in a cycle of wanting more for ourselves and our lives. Indeed, we do. But when we focus on what we lack, it's impossible to feel completely happy and satisfied. Perhaps we rush out and buy that new thing someone has, or we push for the next level in a career ladder. You know, dissatisfaction comes from broken dreams. When you thought you were going to be someone important and you're in your 30s and your 40s and your 50s and you're a nobody. Now it's one thing to make the calculation early as I did. I was like, I'm not going to make it as a superstar. I'm moving in this direction where I'm going to go make money. And even if I did, where I am, based on what I can do, my talents, my skill sets, I'm just gonna be drowned out by a sea of talented people. Let me just go make myself comfortable. And should better things come, I'm absolutely gonna take those things, but not at the cost and expense of money. Right now, some people thought they were gonna be magnificent. Some people thought they were gonna go all the way to the top of the ladder. Nobody goes to the top of the ladder, man. Nobody goes to the top of the ladder. But and if you do, we all know who you are. But if you're feeling dissatisfied, and I mean, you listen to me, do I sound dissatisfied with my life? No, 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 no. I feel grateful about my life. Perhaps, it's my fault that I didn't set higher ambitions in terms of success, status, fame, that kind of thing. But I'm willing to forego status, fame, and perceived success for cash money. I'll take the money, thank you. I will count my victories at the bank. I don't need the admiration of a million people. I don't even know what I would do with it, if I have to be honest with you. Like, I don't even know what I would do by being adored by a million people. It's one thing, I think, if a million people hear this message and they want to hear these recordings and this information over and over, and I'm happy to oblige you. But if there's just 1 million people that want to see my face every single day, I don't even know why. How many times can you look at a person's face before you get tired of it? But how many times do you think people could look at your face before they get tired of it? I think a voice is something else. You get used to a voice. It could soothe you right to sleep. Right? It could put you straight to sleep and you wake up and you feel informed, but you don't actually know anything. And then you play the video again and it's all sort of like you remember it. Right? You could tell you're repeating it. Which is why, by the way, if you're gonna sleep through my videos, at least pause, right? And then come back and then sleep again. Perhaps we rush out and buy the new thing someone has, he says, or we push for the next level in the career ladder. We read that. Sometimes we strive to meet the perfect partner, yet are not satisfied once we're in the relationship because that relationship is not satisfying. Just think about it. How could you be satisfied in a relationship that's satisfying? How could you be satisfied in a job? I beg your pardon. How could you be satisfied in a relationship that's not satisfying or a job that's not satisfying? It stands to reason that you would be unsatisfied under unsatisfying circumstances, right? Otherwise, wouldn't you be satisfied? If you were ambitious and reached the peak, the peak, the epitome of your success and your ambition, you would reach satisfaction. But if you haven't, if you believe you can achieve more, and then you try and you do achieve more. It is only when you try and you don't achieve more, I think then you will reach true satisfaction. But while you still think that you can do great things, you're going to be compelled to keep trying and to keep trying. This is also true for relationships. People who keep dreaming that the one is out there, they will just go through hundreds of people, sometimes thousands of people, trying to find one. And that doesn't make no sense. That doesn't make no sense. How do you go through 100 people to find one? You didn't go to find one. You found 100 people. That's what happened. You didn't go find. You don't go through 100 people to find one. You found 100 people and one. You found 101 people. That's what happened. Not went through 100 people to find one. No, you found 100 people. Then you left the one and went and found another. And then left the one and then went and found another. The problem is that even if we achieve, I beg your pardon, what we're aiming for, nothing stays shiny, new, and flawless for long. No job is perfect and no relationship comes without challenges. So we end up right back where we started, back in the romance wars, wishing and wanting more. Oh, isn't that just so true? Isn't that just so true? I mean, you thought being a parent was gonna be the best thing ever. Oh, and it's made you so miserable. Now you're back where you started, wishing you could have had more, wishing you could have been more single, wishing you could have had more freedom. All the things that ironically you had when you started off. And then you decided to forgo your freedom, your independence, your self-determination, right? Your liberty, and you decided to give that up to be with a counterpart. And now you would want nothing more than to just be a bachelor, and you can't. Even if you leave, I mean, you'll be a bachelor 2.0, he who returns, but the way back to returning, oh, it's difficult. It is painful, it is challenging, it is expensive, and when you get there, you're old. That's one thing they don't tell you, right? Is you wish for the good old days, and then you get there just to realize the good old days are long gone. And you just don't have the energy or the time or the patience to do any of the things that you want. That's the sad part about it. You're older now. And you've got kids and a job. What are you talking about? You're going to be a bachelor. With bills? I hope you know what you're doing. I hope you know what you're doing, but I don't blame you for wanting more. I'm at the point with the vasectomy where I'm satisfied with it. I'm satisfied with the price, I'm satisfied with the result, and I'm satisfied with having it. I don't wake up one day and think, you know what? Should I make my vasectomy more vasectomy like? Vasectomishly? I don't know. I need to find the right description for that, right? But I don't wish for it to be more of a vasectomy. It's perfect just the way it is. Very satisfied. I don't find myself wanting more. I find myself asking more intrinsic, more intuitive questions, more insightful questions to say, hey, what do I really want? What joy do I get out of this action or that action? You know, it's not really a question of, oh, what consequence am I trying to avoid? No, 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 no. Consequence, what's that? What's that? Consequences, I don't live for consequences. That's for you. That's for you, knee benders. Me, I'm in the 1%, the real 1%. We don't face consequences. I'm not one for consequences. No, thank you. Whatever mistake I make, I plan to just move away from it. The way out of this trap might be a lot more straightforward than you think. And it starts with adopting the practice of gratitude in our lives. This is going to be very interesting. In terms of, he's about to describe situations that if I was a vasectomite, which I am, in those situations, I would be quite upset. right? But for you, you'd have to find a way to be grateful for it. This is going to be really, really interesting. And here they are, 6 benefits of gratitude. Dr. Chris says, when we talk about gratitude, we're not just saying thanks for the big things in life, we're also appreciating the little moments that sprinkle joy throughout our day. Little moments that sprinkle joy. Doesn't that sound like the pitter patter of happy feet? Doesn't sound like joy to me. It sounds more like bundles of joy. Not for me, thank you. Being grateful might seem simple. It is for me. But although it's simple in nature, its impact can be quite powerful. By adding more gratitude to your day, you're setting yourself up for a happier and healthier life. I concur. I concur fully with the doctor. And the best part, it's free and accessible to everyone, everywhere, at any time. There, I disagree. How are you supposed to be grateful to something that stresses you out, that costs you money, that affects your health, that affects your mental health, that you argue with and fight with and nags you? How are you going to be grateful for something like that, really, that affects you mostly negatively than positively? Just be serious for a moment. What are you talking about, man? You know, you heard these people say I'm grateful for my kids and they're broken and dead. Some people have been homeless because they had kids with the wrong person. And then you standing there saying, I feel grateful for these kids. You're lying. You are resentful. I feel grateful for a vasectomy because my vasectomy has protected me. It has given me clarity. It has given me peace of mind. My savings are through the roof. Through the roof. I'm updating all my tech. I'm updating all my tech. All right, and I've been doing it sort of systematically over the past few months. Everything is up at 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte, 1 terabyte. Highest specs that I can get. Just so I could be so much more productive, just generally productive, just to have a seamless flow through life, especially technologically. For that, I'm grateful, right? But you have to ask yourself, is this thing that you're doing making you happier and healthier? How are you going to be grateful for something that is making you sicker and sadder, more frustrated? Seriously, I don't even remember one time seeing a parent smile at their child. I don't remember one single time seeing a parent smile at their child. I mean, there's some kids that have done some really great things, and you just watch the parents just stand there with a stern face, just waiting for that kid to screw it up, like he screwed up everything else. And there you are, grateful. No way, I'm not having that. I don't want nothing to do with that. What I'm grateful for is a vasectomy, which in fact has made me happier and healthier. I've lost weight, I've saved money, I feel good, I'm less stressed, I don't care about these counterparts and their opinions, right? I'm doing my own thing all the time, speaking my own words, speaking about my own situations. Relationships. Imagine spending your whole life talking about relationships when you could be like me talking about the absence of relationships, right? And there's some people out there that are like, oh, absence of relationships means you're struggling in the dating market. No, it means I got a vasectomy. It means I had it, and I thought, no way, I'm not doing this. I'm really not doing this. So I got a vasectomy, you know and whatever success or failure, however you can define it, the fact that I can't get anybody inseminated ever, to me, that's a win. Gratitude can help you notice the positive in life. Like I said, it's a win. It's a win. I don't care how many rejections I get. Really, rejections mean nothing to me. It means nothing to me if I approach someone, if I get 100 rejections. What difference is a rejection gonna make to me compared to somebody saying yes? Really, really now. Somebody says yes to you, you get her pregnant. Somebody says no to you, you don't have a chance of passing on your genes, which troubles you. For me, either way, it's the same exact outcome. It's all good. Gratitude can help you notice the positives in life, especially if you're grateful about a vasectomy. It's easy to focus on the negatives, but when you practice gratitude, you're better able to appreciate the good stuff around you. That's not a word I use very often. Stuff. Goods, products, items, merchandise. Sure, that's more my lingo. Stuff, not so much. But apparently, you have stuff around you. No matter how frustrating your day has been, maybe a friend's kind words are lifting you up, or a beautiful sunset is making you appreciate the good in life. All those things are sound. All those things are perfectly sound to me. You know, a friend's kind words, anybody's kind words really can uplift you. You know, a beautiful sunset, a butterfly landing ever so gently on a leaf, while a dewdrop falls over, tips over as the butterfly flies away and the dewdrop lands ever so gently into a spring, causing ripples that fly out into the horizon. I could care less what makes you feel happy. Just knowing that you can't get anybody pregnant makes it easy for you to appreciate the simple things in life. Now try appreciating that scene with somebody that's here about to pop out with two twins. And just wait till they hit you with that bill for them twins. Oh. A vasectomy makes the little things valuable. Getting somebody inseminated, even the biggest things are trivialized. You know, it really depends, I think, on what you're grateful for. I for one am very grateful for a vasectomy because all these things that he's described so far in the first two slides are sound and true to me. I can relate to all of them, right? In terms of my vasectomy, but I cannot associate these things with any of the outcomes that I've ever had in the romance wars. Nor can I associate them with any of the outcomes that I've observed in others, not experienced, thank God, but observation of others in the legal matrimony and the dark dimension, as well as divorce and those enduring after effects. All right, so I'm grateful, man. I'm grateful to be where I am. Win or lose, win or lose, I'm doing this under my own terms. When you're putting in the effort to be grateful, you'll start noticing positive moments more often. I noticed positivity within myself immediately after getting a vasectomy. Immediately after getting a vasectomy. You know, I was thinking today earlier about a situation where a counterpart had contacted me, and it was right. Wasn't right after, but it was like after I got my vasectomy, but I was still in recovery. And I really told them, no, not you. You know, I could have told them I'm not feeling well. Let's meet another time or whatever. But I was just like, no, go away. It wasn't just that I didn't want to ruin my vasectomy, which I love ever so much and can do nothing about it, even if I wanted to, unless I'm willing to pay a tremendous cost, which I'm not going to, right? But you know, from that instant change within myself, you know, and rejecting the advances of the counterpart, I didn't want to ruin that vasectomy. Not only that, I didn't want to then have gotten a vasectomy and then got the counterpart pregnant right after that. You know, as soon as I'm ready to go, there I got somebody pregnant because I still got one in the chamber. Nah. That would have been a catastrophe, you know. So even the sacrifices that I've had to make in the name of the vasectomy have all been worth it. Because to be fair, those sacrifices were very short lived. and they weren't many, right? There were very few, very short lived. The benefits have easily dwarfed the liabilities, right? And I noticed the positive moments, and I noticed them from that first moment all the way through to where you and I are in the interactive timeline. Gratitude number two reminds us what's important. Isn't that right? Isn't that just right? Gratitude reminds me every day that I made the right decision, right? And that's about it. That's really about it. Like, I'm not going to extend that gratitude to be like, oh, I'm glad I have a better relationship with my family. I haven't really cared enough to engage in terms of like to be curious enough to say, how's my relationship with my family? And maybe I need to improve that relationship. I haven't really thought about it. Maybe. I mean, I'll get me wrong. I'm not gonna start thinking about it now. I'm calling people, but it's just not a concern. Why would it be? Why would it be? I mean, what outcome? What finality? What is the purpose in the end of all that? Really, there's really nothing. And it might sound like a harsh thing to say, but think about it. You ended all biological imperative, all biological connections. You have no interest in biological connections. They only serve as a liability and a distraction. And if you can find a benefit to those biological connections after a vasectomy, I would love to hear all about it. Please share and explain to us how you think you're still the same as these humans. Because you're not. You're a vasectomite now, right? You really need to see the reality for what it is. You get that vasectomy, uh, like they say, 99% are going to have a wife, they're going to have kids, or one or the other, or both. You're not part of that. Why do you need to even worry about this nonsense? Just focus on what's important. You, your freedom, your liberty, your outcomes. Don't worry about being remembered. These people aren't going to be remembered either. None of these people are going to be remembered. None of us are. So just live your life, man. Enjoy it while you have it. Get a vasectomy, freeze your sperm. That's a good start to enjoying your life. With so much happening around us, we sometimes forget what's really important, or what really matters. I beg your pardon. Gratitude acts like a gentle nudge, reminding us to value our loved ones, our health, and even simple pleasures like a tasty meal. I agree completely. All these things I value. All these things I value to a simple, well, to a certain degree. In moderation. Nothing wrong with a tasty meal. Looking after your health, of course. Simple pleasures, as they say. You can enjoy all these with a vasectomy. I went to a very popular chef's restaurant. Had a delightful meal. I had the salmon, right? In a foreign country, of course. A Michelin star chef, very popular. You know his name. I just don't know if I could mention it. I enjoyed that meal. It was a very expensive meal. I paid for that meal what I would pay for a week's worth of groceries, but it wasn't a problem too much. I just noticed the comparison when the bill came, and then I had to tip that extra 25%. The numbers don't lie, right? These things I can enjoy. But while I was there, I noticed a family with four children. It was I think it was a situation of there was the husband, the wife, the four kids, and like a friend, an out of town friend or something. And they were in this very popular restaurant. And I looked at what I paid and multiplied it by seven. And that was a lot of money. That was almost like $600 on that meal. No joke. I was like, whoa, whoa, cause I was just under 100, right? And I had a delightful meal. right? And so I was under 100, but I mean, you know, I just had like a cup of tea, the meal, and as soon as I was done, I left because I was already full, right? I mean, I was already full. Even if I wanted more, really, I don't have the appetite for it, so I moved on with my life. But they must have stayed for dessert and other things in the end, and it must have cost a lot of money. So it's one thing to enjoy the simple pleasures in life, but then when that bill comes, man, like it's like you have this moment of gratitude that's always followed up by financial stress, and that's what they don't say. I had that moment, enjoyed it, and moved on. I noticed the difference, and I'm mentioning it to you now because it was noticeable. But other than that, everything else was delightful. And I appreciated it. I appreciate even being able to do that kind of thing. To go to this kind of establishment by this type of caliber of and skilled chef and practitioner, right? Of his own arts. I appreciated the talent, the art, the level. But then I also observed with concern. Now, people will say, well, what if they're rich? What if they're super rich? You know, there we are. We are in the same restaurant enjoying the same experience, right? So if they're rich, then what am I? Because I'm in the same place with them doing the same thing, having the same experience provided by the same people at the same cost, right? I just don't have the added stress of that, paying for six additional people in what is already a pricey place. So, and I know there's people that will be like, oh, well, if you had more money, it wouldn't be a problem. Listen, I'm in the same restaurant with you, eating the same thing, but we're just getting different bills. And who do you think got the better bill? I think I got the better bill. Even if I had two other people there with me, you know, it'll never be more than that. I mean, I'm not gonna have four kids, you know? So it's like, it's really not a matter of, oh, this person's in a different class, different tax bracket, has different experiences. No, 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 no. We are in there together. What you really want to say is that we have the same experience, just at a different cost. And this is always the same. These are the people that I work with, or work in the same level with, or work in the same league with, right? So I know what our income is, and then I look at your expenses, and I have to compare them to my own. And I think I'm getting way, way better deals than you. And I'm enjoying those simple pleasures much, much more. Gratitude encourages you to live in the present moment. I think so. I think so. But then again, I mean, when I think about my vasectomy, I was grateful for it in the moment, sitting in that moment thinking, "Ooh, I'm so grateful that I have a vasectomy." It's something that I'm glad that I did and got, and I've enjoyed it for many years. But then again, I go through my own memory bank and I go back in time, not just with my own memories, with my, time machine, and I go all the way back to that date. And when I'm there, I appreciate the memories. I appreciate the past. It's not just the moment that gives me gratitude, but it's also the past where I come from. It's been a good time. It's been a good ride. I'm happy with the memories that I have, right? But I think if your memories are filled with, or something good happened, then I got a bill that shattered me. But I'm glad my kids had fun. We went somewhere that was really nice, and then I got the bill for the plane tickets and the hotels. But at least my kids had fun, right? That kind of thing. Oh, we went on a family outing, but at least the kids have fun. So, if you're sitting in a moment where all your memories end up with at least somebody else had fun at my expense, I can understand why, if you're in a good moment right now, you might want to be grateful for that. because all these other moments are just nothing but bills. Expressing gratitude towards you in the present moment. When you're grateful, you're not ruminating in the past or worrying about the future or you're genuinely appreciating what's taking place right now. Being present is about enjoying that cup of coffee while it's still warm or listening to a friend's story without thinking of what to say next. This is what I was talking about earlier on. There are people who have problems in their past and they can foresee that their future is going to be gloomy. Bills, university, all kinds of things are waiting up for them. And they look at the past and they see the mistakes that brought them to this far, and they see the mistakes that are going to take them further into their future. And just being here and surviving in the moment, just drinking the coffee while it's hot, can really seem like something to be grateful for. But I'm telling you, it's not. I'm telling you the truth, it's absolutely not. It's just an indication of the devastation that is your life, the calamity of failure that is your existence, where you're sitting there appreciating something insignificant, not because it's pleasurable, but just because it's not miserable. No, man. No, 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 no. You made bad decisions. If you're in a place where things around you are so bad that not doing anything is like your best possible outcome. It's not an activity, it's not a trip, it's just avoiding the next calamity. That's what you're doing. Or at least waiting patiently for the next calamity that you know is around the corner to present itself. This is no way to live. I don't live like this. I don't think like this, and I don't have the inclination to be like this. I'm a vasectomite. I think clearly and I speak clearly. At least I'd like to think I do. And I have to be honest. I've been there where you're sitting and looking at your life thinking, man, I don't want certain outcomes, but I'm stressed and I have to tolerate nonsense and chase around fools and suffer incompetence because you're one encounter away from calamity. And a lot of people they had that encounter and faced that calamity. And now they have to be appreciative of just nothing. Just nothing is happening, and that's a good thing. Because when something does happen, it's a catastrophe. Number four, gratitude reduces comparison. Living a life of gratitude helps lessen the urge to compare yourself to others constantly. Nope, not at all. I spend all day comparing myself to these knee benders because I believe I'm in a much better position. And I'm grateful to not be knee benders. I'm grateful that I never bent the knee. No child support, no alimony. I don't even know any lawyers' names. Like the lawyers that I've used, as soon as I was done using them, I discarded their numbers. I'm sure they're there in my contact somewhere, but you know, I'd have to look them up. And I wouldn't be able to look them up by their name. I save every lawyer like the ancient one, lawyer. The Bachelor Supreme, lawyer. So that I know I'll just type in lawyer on my phone and I'll get a few contacts. But if you think like you're a lawyer and I saved you by your name because I remember your name and it's all good, I do not. I do not. I really don't fraternize with lawyers very much. But myself, I love comparing myself to these knee benders. These people are living a miserable life. Even the Bachelor 2.0, I mean, it's like half and half, man. You're sort of kind of back, but you're never really back, are you? I mean, how are you back? You've got kids. Even if your kids are an adult. Even if your kid's an adult. I mean, just imagine having a 27-year-old move back home because they got nowhere else to go. It's either this, the streets, or prison. Oh, I mean, you're back, but are you really back? When you're thankful for what you have, you're less likely to feel the need to have what other people possess. Depends on what it is. This practice can lead to increased self esteem and it helps to reduce negative self talk. When I think of my vasectomy, and I have to think of like that 100 million comparison that we made, and I think to myself, am I gonna sacrifice a vasectomy for 100 million? And it's always like a resounding no. No way am I giving up my vasectomy for that much money. Even $1 billion, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd give up my vasectomy for anything. Because eventually I'm just gonna get somebody inseminated and pregnant, and then what's the point? Simultaneously, I'm not the kind of person who doesn't have self belief. I believe that if I really put my heart, mind, and soul into it, I would be able to acquire $1 billion, let's say in 20 or 30 years. If I threw myself, so I just stop everything that I'm doing and I do only this for 30 years, right? I'm sure it would be achievable, right? And I'm grateful I'll be able to do it anyway, you know. But the truth is that on the one hand, while I believe I might be able to have the capacity to achieve that type of success and wealth with no proof, by the way, absolutely no proof. It's a hope, a dream, a belief, and it's better than nothing, right? I could be wishing to be in love for the rest of my life. But I just don't want somebody else's money. It's one thing that I believe I can achieve the goal. If I do have that goal, I want it to be my money. I don't want it to be what somebody else possesses. I want my own vasectomy so I can be my own kind of vasectomite and live my own life. I don't want to have another person's money or live vicariously through another person or have that other person control me because I'm controlling their money. And they don't want me doing anything with their money that they wouldn't do. But they know that if they controlled it, they'd just squander it. That kind of situation. So I think it really matters what it is you're grateful for and how much you value that. Right? For these reasons, I'm very grateful about my vasectomy, and it has really decreased the desire that I have in what other people have. I mean, it's one thing you have like a Lamborghini, but then you have a Lamborghini and 3 kids. Does the Lamborghini have to come with 3 kids? Can't I just forgo the kids and go for the Lamborghini? And these type of calculations, right, where you gotta like have the kids and the Lamborghini, they can be frustrating for you to the point where you know what, I would happily forgo the Lamborghini if it means I don't have kids. I really don't want no parts of that. Like keep the Lamborghini, man. If it's Lamborghini and 3 kids, no way, no way. But if I forgo the 3 kids and then I have to make it, my own way, take every step, find my own way to a Lamborghini, I'd rather do that. I'd rather get the vasectomy first and then we can discuss the Lamborghini. But if the Lamborghini comes with the kids, it's a no for me. It's an absolute no. This practice can lead to increased self esteem and it helps to reduce negative self talk. I guess this proves it, doesn't it, right? Because I'm so grateful for what I have, I'm willing to defend it and I'm willing to compare it to other things, right? Other things that are gonna lead you to bend the knee. So yeah, on the one hand, I do compare myself with these knee benders, but on the other, I know that I don't want anything that they want. And for this reason, I will speak positively about myself and I suggest you do the same. But I don't know how good that positive talk is going to be if it's all a lie. Now you're just deluding yourself and all you're doing is completing the circle of deception. Right? The best thing for you to do is to get something that's real and tangible that you can be grateful for. And that way, it can boost your mood, which is number 5. Gratitude can boost your mood. Think about a time someone thanked you. It felt good, didn't it? When you feel and express gratitude in your daily life, it improves your mood. Positive emotions grow, and before you know it, you're sharing that happiness with others around you. I think that's what I'm doing here. You know, I got that vasectomy. I feel good. I got that positive emotion, and I'm sharing it with others right now. And I'm grateful to do so. I'm not just grateful to have the vasectomy, I'm grateful to have the opportunity to discuss this life changing process with you of freezing your sperm and getting your vasectomy, this evolutionary, revolutionary, life changing process, right? That will steer humanity in a completely different direction, right? Other than that which we thought we were meant to go. No, no, no. We are going our own way, not just as men, but as a species, right? And yeah, that positive emotion is going to grow. I believe that the more men get vasectomies, it's only going to grow, and then we can go ahead and share that happiness with others and that gratitude with others. This is a really good list, and I'm agreeing with it, by the way. When I compare these feelings with my own gratitude, I find that for the most part, we are aligned. We are aligned. Six, gratitude, and this is the last point. Six, gratitude helps to strengthen relationships. Sharing your gratitude isn't just for you. When you express it to others, it strengthens bonds. Maybe it's thanking a friend for being there or appreciating a family member's effort. For making dinner, gratitude is a simple way to make connections even stronger. Perhaps that's what we're doing here. Perhaps that's what I'm doing here by demonstrating my own gratitude for this procedure. Perhaps it may even strengthen your resolve and your connection to this platform and to this channel. Perhaps it'll increase your resolve in the deceptive arts, right? Increase your resolve to do the right thing. It will dissuade any doubts that you have, especially if you freeze your sperm first, right? So I believe that there are tremendous, great many things that can still come from this process, right? And perhaps more could come from this movement. I do believe that with enough time, with enough energy, with enough skill, that it is possible for the vasectomites to play a very meaningful evolutionary role in the leadership of humanity. And I wouldn't be here with the sternness, the seriousness, the structure that I am if I didn't want us to be taken seriously. I do believe that eventually people are going to come across vasectomites and the vasectomy and the topic of vasectomy. And when it does, I'd hate for it to not be represented the right way. This is just me showing gratitude for something that, quite frankly, has improved my life in a tremendous way. Yes, there are times when I discuss it in perhaps what might be a humorous way or in a way that is intended to be less formal, less serious, you know, less structured. But this entire platform is very well structured and, quite frankly, scripted for a specific effect. This is not to imply that it's all fake. It just means that it's organized for for a particular effect and to avoid certain outcomes. And one of those outcomes is to be discredited, right? They won't discredit the procedure, which is not possible. They'll discredit the man and the message. If you are not sound yourself, then people will come for you, right? They will always come for you. But you need to be sound, level headed, pragmatic, honest, right? So I'm always saying that, vasectomy is not going to protect you from STIs. This is honest. But we're not looking for protection from STIs. We're looking for protection from the dark dimension and the romance wars, right? And I believe that if you receive your vasectomy, you will be just as grateful as I am. At least, if not for the vasectomy itself, then for the very least, avoiding the dark dimension and protecting yourself in the romance wars, right? That way you can always be sure of your outcomes. But if you're in the romance wars without a vasectomy and you get into the dark dimension, it's going to be very difficult to come out. And once you're in, you're definitely not getting a vasectomy. They're going to make sure of that. And if you do, it's going to be on the books, which means, they're going to be trying to expose you and all kinds of things with malicious intent. So I suggest getting that vasectomy, keeping it a secret, valuing it, and then protecting that secret, appreciating that you have this secret, something special that's only just for you, right? That's what it really is. Yes, we are talking about it publicly, but again, I'm, hidden, my face is hidden, behind a dark hood. So not only do you see how horrendous I look, you just don't know what I look like at all. My vasectomy is out in the open, but I've kept myself a secret. Whereas you might be out in the open, you gotta keep that vasectomy a secret, but both of us need to be strengthened. Our resolve needs to be strengthened. Our paranoia needs to be strengthened. Our mystery needs to be strengthened by the vasectomy. And I hope that when you get your vasectomy and you freeze your sperm, that you are just as grateful that I am, that you have avoided the worst calamity of your existence. And of that, I can guarantee you, having lived a bachelor's life and not been down there, I can tell you that on this side of the fence, there's absolutely nothing going on. The only time things go on is when I go out of my way to go find those things. And even then, they're only going on in as far as I'm going on. Once I stop, all those things stop too. But this is not true for you, you knee bender. In your counterpart, in that dark dimension of yours, that legal matrimony in the dark dimension. No, for you, problems come at you. They come seeking you. You don't have to go nowhere to seek the problems. And I'm grateful, truly grateful, that that's not me. What I am is I'm the Ancient One. I am the Bachelor Supreme and the master of the deceptive arts. And I'm not only grateful for this vasectomy, I'm grateful that you have spent this time with me. I'm grateful that we can go through this journey together and we can discuss this process together. Thank you for watching the video. This is the end of it. Please, if you've enjoyed this content, like the video. It's still feeling unnatural, but I'm going to say it anyway. Like the video. Even though liking doesn't feel natural, asking you to share the video with people who you think will benefit from this content. I think that's very important. I think if you have a vasectomy and you want somebody to talk candidly about what it feels like to have a vasectomy, and what we're doing also is we're talking about like general issues and then inserting the vasectomy there to see how these things affect us. Psychology, language, theology, philosophy, economics, social dynamics, all these are involved. And then we throw the vasectomy there and see how that muddies the waters. And I think it clears everything right up. So please go freeze your sperm and get a vasectomy, right? You get all the protection and all of the reproductive options that you're looking for. And use that to protect yourself, protect your seed, and protect your solitude at all times. Again, I appreciate your time and I appreciate your attention. I am the Ancient One, the Bachelor Supreme, and I'm wishing you a wonderful, glorious, and grateful day.